Hello and welcome to the GAK.co.uk Guitar Shop podcast. I am your host Mark Packham. Who is with me this evening?
Hello, my name is Matt and I'm the manager here in store.
Hello, and I'm Joe and I'm here for bass-related queries.
I tried to do a GA type. Hello.
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 Hello. How's it going, chaps? No Jay Cross this evening.
Yeah, he's not going to be with us for...
This is it now.
We've sacked him off again.
Sacked him off. He's always on holiday.
I mean, he's not going to be with us for like a month. So you're just it's the three best ones and just the Three Musketeers and
That's it. Does that make him D'Artagnan in that case?
But wasn't he the best one?
Yeah, well,
and
that's the
Jay
thing.
is clearly not the best one.
You'd be Porthos, the pirate.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that.
He always had gadgets and stuff, or at least he
Okay.
did in the Charlie Sheen movie.
Who was the sort of fat sweary one?
What?
Wasn't there like a fat sort of sweary one?
Porthos.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you, Matt. Apparently,
Yeah, there you go.
That's
your tash sort of. You could be a musketeer,
Thanks.
a moustache-keteer.
You've got a bit of a beard going on as well.
I just
now.
haven't shaved in about a month.
Just
That's
lazy.
The problem, yeah. It's just lazy.
Yeah.
The moustache will be back soon.
So, despite the lack of J Cross this week and the lack of shaving, how has everyone been?
Good. I'm furthering my quest into the ungiggable rig.
I'm really excited about this. It's been great to see some pictures on Twitter and stuff as well.
Well, basically, my new devised plan is as follows. So, I've got stereo pedals on my board, and I also want to go AB now that I've got a PPC 112 for my other amp.
Yeah.
But how can you run an AB rig and a stereo rig simultaneously? Because if you go stereo output for stereo effects, the two amps are always on. If you go AB, your stereo you can only run in mono.
Effects loop?
Yeah, but if you don't want to run in the effects, if you want to run straight into the front of the amp. So I'm currently trying to find a way that I need an AB box that goes stereo in, stereo out, but when you're on either A or B, it sums the stereo signal to mono, but when you select both, it splits it back into stereo.
Why? Just
Why not?
'cause you can. Does such a
can.
thing exist?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, sort of.
Okay.
There's a lovely chap based in Brighton who does like effects loops and switches and stuff, and we've been discussing the possibility of it being built, and I think it can be done. So
That sounds exciting.
Matt Knight's signature
well,
switcher.
basically, it means that you could effectively, if you had a pedal board and all your core sounds come from your pedal board, if you went to a gig and you could only run into one amp, it doesn't matter that you just go out of A, say for example, and the stereo signal will just be summed into mono, even though you've got stereo effects at the end of your chain. But if you go into two amps, it means you can have one or the other, or both in true stereo.
I've literally no idea how that would all work.
Nor do I. That's why I've asked someone else to build it for me.
How about you, Joe? You've been recording this week.
I have, yeah. I'm completely exhausted, actually. But yeah, I'm off from tomorrow, and actually we start tonight, and we've got a lock in at the studio until Monday morning. So
Where are you recording?
At Brighton Electric.
Amazing. Did your Kickstarter all came off?
We
then?
did, yeah. Our Kickstarter.
How much did you raise?
It actually finishes in a few hours today, but
Where are you at the
obviously
moment,
not to the
money-wise?
podcasters, but about 1,400.
Oh,
Which is good because we only wanted 1,250, so it's done really well.
Good.
So we're really happy
So
with
you
that.
pocketed a couple of £100 for yourself.
Well, actually, we only asked for half of how much it's costing us to record. So
Right, okay.
So yeah, so it would just go.
You're doing a
little bit more.
whole album of mathy goodness.
Well, technically it's an EP because there are only 3 songs on it, but
it's probably
one
like
of
50 minutes long or something.
One of the songs is 12 minutes,
It's
and
ridiculous.
and the other, basically the complete running time we worked out is around 30, 35
Well, it was
minutes.
funny because I remember the second Mars Volta album was technically
Francis the Mute was only
it was
6
only
tracks.
Yeah, but the record company wouldn't let them release it as 6 tracks. So what they did was they just made up a load of names in between tracks and just said that all the bridges were just other song names.
How long was that album in total?
Like an hour and something.
Yeah, over an hour.
My first album was 23 minutes, 13 tracks.
Didn't your old band release a single on floppy disk that
They
was
did.
30 seconds long?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the difference between punk and math. Summarised.
Will
there
someone
in
ever
that.
cross the two?
It's not...
Punk math?
It's
Fugazi?
It's not all about length, Joe. We don't need to be
It's also
showing
about
off.
efficiency.
Yeah,
Getting
It's
your
what-
point across.
It's what you can do with it that counts.
Oh, I see. No,
Indeed.
Understood.
So short podcast this week because Joe's got to go and do some recording and Matt's got to get back to London. So I thought we'd dive straight in with some staff picks. We've got a load of questions as well, but let's hit some staff picks first. Matt, what has caught your attention this week?
What has caught my attention this week is a guitar that... So actually, I suppose I should say, the reason that I didn't know we stocked these at first was because obviously a lot of companies bring out a lot of new products that sometimes kind of aren't massive releases. They kind of just sneak under the radar. And someone came in and said, yeah, you've got these guitars for like really, really cheap and I really want one. And I was
just
like,
see what it is. I listed them.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I haven't actually heard of them. Let me have a look. You know, we're honest here. I'm not going to try and blag it if I don't know. And it's the Charvel Desolation series.
Yes.
The DS2 Pro. 169 quid for effectively what looks like something that might be better than an Epiphone Les Paul.
Yeah,
I mean,
completely.
They're, it's basically last year's Desolation series. Or,
Yeah, so we've
or
got
the
them-
old one. They've released a new 2014
so-
range.
yeah,
and so we've got all the old ones.
yeah, so which means we've got them at a mega cheap price.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think some of the... I was having a quick look through the page when you talked about it. Some of the Charvel stock that we've got in at the moment is like 70% off RRP. I think those are like 50% off or something, but there's ridiculous savings.
Yeah.
But I mean, just in terms of the spec, I mean, so it's a mahogany neck and body. You've got a compound radius fingerboard, just 12 to 16, so it's super flat. So if you're a shredder, it's really good. If you like rock stuff, you've still got the Gibson style radius at the bottom end. Like Charvel own design pickups, but they're zebras. They look kind of cool. They look really classy. Really nice overall finish. But yeah, I mean, they said their neck shape is Charvel Fast. I don't know.
So
Maybe
slim-ish.
slim.
It'll be a
What's-
slim
are
neck, so
they-
that won't be
Slim
very
neck.
Les Pauly. But you've got to think. I don't think we can underestimate the fact that there's compound radius on a guitar for under £200.
Yeah, considering when I was talking to someone about the Squire Jim Root, the Squire Jim Root is a flat 12, but the Mexican ones are 12 to 16. So a lot more work goes into a compound
absolutely.
radius board.
Can I just ask, are they bolt-on or are they glued?
I think they're glued neck.
There's nothing to indicate that it's a bolt-on.
No,
for that
nothing.
price,
I mean,
you'd sort of
basically,
assume that it is.
I only found out about these yesterday, and they're coming. And I sold one today, and it's coming in tomorrow. So it'll be
Right,
my
so you haven't...
Well, I mean, it's basically, I thought it'd just be worth mentioning because I haven't actually played one. I just can't see how because they're a guitar that were they're about nearly 500 quid. I think.
What's the RRP? You should have that.
382.80.
Right.
But then that's probably come down slightly, I would have thought. But then again, I mean, that's like a 400 quid guitar.
And
Yeah.
Charvel are a great company as well.
Well, they're really going up in the well. I mean, they were there in the 80s, and then I think kind of people just forgotten about them. But now, obviously, I think were they always with Fender?
No, they were
They
their
were
own.
with Jackson, weren't they?
No, there's a long and quite complex history that is probably too long to go into now. But in recent years, they were acquired by Fender, and the quality of the stuff that's been coming through has been very, very good. They started off doing like the Sandemus stuff, which are the Super Strats.
They're so good.
And they were the quality on them was very high, but they were more a kind of 5 to 7, maybe 800 quid guitar.
Yeah, they're a bit more. And of course, you got the Guthrie.
Yeah, the Guthrie, obviously.
Signature models.
They're on their way. I think they're coming end of July.
That's the
something like
new
that.
one, of course, because this will be the third incarnation of his Charvel.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I know it's a weird staff pick to kind of pick something I haven't really got my hands on, but it was just a case of like, I can't believe these guitars are so cheap.
Yeah.
No, on paper it looks absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't always base things on paper, but generally when we've got mega deals like this, you kind of have to ignore the price in a sense because you'd think, oh, it's 100. It was like when we had all the Gens Ben stuff.
Yeah.
And you were getting like an amp that was almost $1,000 in like the Diablos for like 400 quid, and this is the same sort of thing. So I think this is a really good contender if you want something that's maybe a little bit more rock orientated, a slimmer neck to an Epiphone or an ESP.
I just think, if someone's been looking at like an Epiphone Les Paul Standard or something like that, these look very good. And judging on the quality of the previous Charvel stuff that we've had in, they will play very nicely.
And I mean, just as a backup guitar, something even if you fancy like changing the pickups and something, that you don't want to do it on your main guitar. I mean, yeah, right. So
for anything, for like refinishes or messing around with trying.
Yeah,
it just looks.
And they won't be that price for long. So yeah, I will have a full idea for next week's podcast. But at the moment, I'll just say, if anyone out there, I know we've got a few followers who tweet us regularly going, "Oh, what's good, what's cheap," and just buy one of them, because I don't think I know some of them, they're quite like metal style guitars, and I think this would suit.
Do you know what is really good on that list of Charvels, and something that I have played? The Skatecaster.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good. I was going to mention them because they're part of the Desolation series.
They are part of the Desolation series, so again, they're like
probably
ridiculous
5 or 6 body
savings
shapes in the Desolation series.
So the Skatecaster,
we're getting a chunk of all of them.
It's kind of like a modern take on the old Surfcaster that was like a semi-hollow, really sort of jangly, offset Jaguar type thing. These are like a metal Jaguar. They've got that offset body shape. They've got like super high output pickups. Again, through neck. They've got like perloid inlays.
But it's like a slab body.
Yeah, like slab body. So again, similar to if you've seen it, the Jim Root Jazzmaster that was announced this year. They've gone down a similar line to that. Can you remember what sort of money they are? I know they're like silly. Cheap.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
like
it is something like that.
I'm into that.
Yeah, they're about 350 quid, and I think their RRP is sort of on the dark side of £800.
With the Surfcaster, there was a Jackson one
and a Charvel
and a Charvel one, and aren't the Charvel ones the rarer ones?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, because when I first started here, they had started making Jackson Surfcasters again in China.
Yeah.
So I think there's probably more of those floating around. Yeah. But again, it's all to do with this complicated history between Jackson and Charvel and how those two brands kind of came to be.
Actually, on a kind of just on a quick side note, on a bit of news.
Okay.
Nick Aslin, who is the kind of Gibson product specialist in the UK, came in today and was showing me, because I hadn't seen the full range yet of all the 2014 Memphis stuff, so all the hollow bodies and joyous things like that. And
before you start down this road, can we mention this?
Yeah. I think it's like they're like a lot of the ones we are listing.
Okay.
So obviously they do things like they've got 335s, the 335 Saturns, the 339s, the 339 Studios. They've redone the 335 Studios. They're not that weird, like midnight ebony blue with the one pickup. They're like just stripped back versions of a 335 or 339. Kind of like
the specials are to
like a Les Paul Studio to a normal Les Paul. And then obviously they do the vintage ones, like we've already got the 59 175, so they're just upgraded for this year. Everything's got a Tone Pros bridge as standard, but they're doing a 64 ES345, which is basically the Marty McFly guitar from Back to the Future.
Oh, I'm so excited about
that. So gold hardware,
Veritone, split trapeze inlays. Amazing.
You've got to buy one of those.
I think you do. But the thing is, I was like,
Bixby?
No, but they are. There is.
Yeah,
but it's the standard hardtail one, but they are doing a Bigsby version. But I was like, why is there no Back to the Future tie-in? Why does the certificate not have a picture of Marty McFly?
At CES this year,
they had Christopher Lloyd come out with one. Right. Yeah, but why is there no like in the case? Why is there not like a signed picture of Michael J. Fox of Marty McFly?
I mean, that would be amazing for everyone.
You know, like
the
little finger skateboards you get for fingerboarding. Why not one that looks like the little Mattel hoverboard?
One of the hazmat suits and a Walkman.
They could do the case in the hoverboard colours, the pink and green. Oh.
They would never do that. They would never do that. Okay. But I mean, for people in the know, that's kind of a really cool guitar to be available now.
And actually, do you know what? I found out a little story, because you know how everyone goes, yeah, well, in the video he's playing a 60s one, but you know, obviously he's in 1955, so you know, incorrect, like spec and whatnot. And apparently all the guitars for the film were supplied by Grooms Guitars in America.
Yeah.
And he went, yeah, you want to use this one? And they went, yeah, that one looks cooler though. And he went, no, but you can't use that. That's incorrect. That's like not era specific. And they went, yeah, it looks better. And he went, oh, people will pick up on it. They'll be complaining about it. And they were like, nah, we'll use that one. And
you know what they didn't know about, which ironically they probably should have known about, given it's a time travel movie, the internet.
Yeah.
Because the internet will find that out straight away. They should have known.
They should have known.
Joe Branton, what have you been playing this week?
Yes, well, mine's actually of quite a similar vein to Matt's, I suppose, in, you know, talking about something that is a deal. something that's a super awesome deal at the moment. We've recently started doing, I think we mentioned it on a previous podcast, we've recently started doing Eden amplification.
Well, we've actually done them for a long time, and we were stocking them when they weren't owned by Marshall, but in the last couple of years.
Yeah, certainly
a couple
since
of years
I've
ago,
worked here.
they were acquired by Marshall, and we haven't really heard much from them since. Whether there's been products available, I don't know, but we certainly haven't had any stock. What's happening with them these days?
Well, we've got in kind of a sample range of their stock that they've sent to us. So we've got some cool. I mean, there's a really cool. Tiny little 500 watt head and kind of a range of cabinets that they do. There's a couple of different 410s and some combos, some 210 combos, and they all, spec wise on paper they look great.
Yeah.
And tonight has been the first time I've got to try them because I've been waiting for them to come down the store so that I could have a look at them. And one of the things that I overlooked was they do a head, the Eden E300 base head. Now it's the only one of its kind, because the rest of their stuff is their World Series or their Pro Series stuff, and they have different head options in those and cabinets to match to go with those, and those are their bread and butter stuff, the World Series and the Pro Series. The E300 is kind of like their entry level 300 watt head. I suppose it's what the Mag Series is to Ashdown, or the Rumble Series is to Fender.
Or there's a cheaper Mark Bay series as well.
Yeah, the Blackline series.
Blackline series.
So it's that sort of thing, and I kind of they're a really important thing to have at a price point, because I think it's a great way for players starting out who don't have the money to sink on a more expensive head to be able to get something that's the sort of sound. But they tend to be quite low powered, which is fine again for sort of younger bands or practicing or something like that. But certainly for me, I would never look at anything that said it was less than 500 watts.
No.
500 watts would be a bare minimum for me.
Which is pretty standard on bass, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. That's nothing special. But also, I need my 500 watt heads to be really, really loud, just because I play in a really loud band. So I tried out we've got the two heads in. I tried out the other one, the Tour Series head. And I was like, this is really great. And just because the E300 was below it, I thought, well, I might as well plug in and see what it's like. And it was brilliant. Like, the E300 was... I'm being quite J. Cross there, aren't I?
You are being very J. Cross.
Brilliant.
Really, really excellent.
But it was really good. I was really surprised how loud it was. For 300 watts, it was really loud, and the clarity was excellent.
I didn't realise you changed over amps, like from out the front.
we could hear both of them from out here, which is, it's the whole length of the shop away.
Yeah, and obviously there's quite a few walls in place of that as well.
The gain was kind of at 3/4, but the volume was on halfway on that 300 watt amp. It was going into an 8 ohm cab. It was only drawing 180 watts.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's hard to kind of distinguish from the distance that Matt and I were away. What was the kind of clean headroom like? Does it break up, or is it clean all the way up?
Well, the gain, I had the gain quite high, but of course there's no valve in there, so you expect that kind of I suppose fizzier sort of the way Mark basses sort of clip, rather than sort of breaking up. I was expecting that sort of thing, and it was kind of it was a bit like that. I just thought as I turned the gain up, the mid-range just got a lot more defined.
Okay.
Which was kind of great for a sort of a rock sound that's going to cut through. But I just had all the EQ flat. I mean, it even has a little enhance feature on there, which is...
is that like a mid-scoop?
Kind of like a presence,
okay.
I think, the best I can tell. It seems that I turn it off, which I generally do with presence control. So
Joe Branton's all about the bass.
Yeah, but I was so impressed. And they're 329 quid, which is, not a lot of money at all. That puts it, competing with all the other, everything like the Rumble series and the Mag series for Ashdown and
Black Lines.
Yeah, and the Black Lines and things like that. And I just thought, wow, this is louder than all of those.
Yeah.
This is actually something that could really hold its own. And for £329, I'm kind of like, well, that's not a lot of money to get a backup head. Even for me, let alone if you sort of just wanted to spend less money on a first choice head. I think
definitely
it sounded absolutely brilliant. So So whilst I tend to err on the side of more expensive base heads, I thought this was absolutely brilliant for the money. Not even for the money, just brilliant.
Crucially, also base gear
Right.
on a deal.
Oh.
If you're going to buy one of those heads,
Is this your staff pick?
it is.
Right, go.
Think about pairing it up with the Marshall MBC 810 base cabinet.
Well, you couldn't. I want to point out I don't recommend anyone doing that.
Why?
Because it's 300 watts. Putting 300 watts into 8 10-inch speakers. Divide that up. Divide how many watts you're
That'd
getting
be
per
fine.
cone.
That'd be fine. You could run a 300 watt head through
Well,
this.
you could, yeah. I'm just saying, you know.
But it's also, you're going to be running through an 810 for how much?
249 quid.
What?
So,
I bet you want one now.
Yeah.
so again, as part of Marshall, I guess kind of buying into Eden, I think they're either slowing down on the stuff they're doing base-wise, or they
They've
might...
discontinued all the stuff that we can get hold of.
Right, okay, so they're folding it into kind of
I guess
Eden
so,
and just sticking with Eden. So, I guess these are on their way out then, the MBC 810, and I know that the stock is quite limited. Retail price, £685, widding them for 249 quid. Now, whether or not you compare them up with one of those heads is up for debate, but according to Joe Branton. But if you're looking for like a really, really giggable bass cab for absolutely no money,
If you're
240
going on a
quid.
tour, I mean, that's, you know, I was speaking to the boys from like Shrine and Vassar, two bands who just did a double tour of 20 days.
Yeah.
And the two bass players just clubbed in and spent 300 quid on a second-hand 810, rather than taking one of their cabs around, which would get knackered after sort of 20 consecutive days. They spent 300 quid on, you know, a relatively knackered second-hand thing. This is perfect for that sort of situation.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, if I had a second bedroom
there's
in
a
my
little
flat,
glimmer in your eye there,
if I had
Matt.
a
That's
second bedroom in
dangerous.
my flat that was
Are you
a
thinking
man
about adding
cave,
an 810 to
I
your...
would just the
you could put it on
ungiggable
its
rig.
side.
Oh yeah. Imagine just running a three-way setup, but your dry speaker that always had just your guitar sound going through it was some sort of bass amp into an 810.
Do it.
That sounds brilliant.
guitar amp
Dude,
into
it's
an
so
810.
affordable. Just get one.
I know.
You
I
could
couldn't even
have-
get up my stairs. I don't think it even fit my door.
The ungiggable rig could
How are you
consist...
going to get it on the train?
Yeah, that would
It is the tray. Just put two tracks on it and just
just push it along. Put one of them little
The
handles
those
on,
little
like in the
handle-
old cartoons. That'd be amazing. So yeah, I mean, basically, it's a 1200 watt, 1200 watt handling, 810-inch speakers. It's unbelievable for the money. I think you should just get one, Matt. Just get one.
And
maybe
seriously, you could get one.
You could
The
lay it
thing
on
is,
its
I'd
side.
have to sleep on it because my girlfriend definitely wouldn't let me sleep in the bed anymore if I came home with an 8x10.
No word of a lie, I have actually slept on an 810 before in some desperate tour times.
That must have been like a double bed to you.
Thanks. No, but actually it was pretty nice. I just put a little mattress down, or a little, duvet on it, and sleeping bag and pillow. Brilliant. So if you need to buy a cheap bed, 249, Marshall 8%C. Yeah, highly recommended, and it's worth. There's a few other Marshall bits that we've got on deals, and the Eden stuff, and also the Charvels. I feel that we've just only pointed out deals this
we've
week.
been a bit salesy, haven't
But there's so much stuff
Yep.
available at the moment. That
Well,
is
it's that
like
time of year.
Yeah, totally.
Do you know what? It's like, people probably, unless they listen and kind of work in the industry, wouldn't realise how difficult it gets sometimes with staff pick if you're trying to pick something new, because there just isn't anything new. Companies just go quiet. They've released the 2014 catalogues. They're kind of working on maybe the odd limited edition model for its Fender, Gibson. Apart from that, most companies are going to be like...
But it's also the time, I think, when a lot of companies reevaluate. So Marshall obviously, dropping the bass side of things, and TC are moving their range around, which is why we've got deals on those TC bass bits as well. Charvel, obviously, these are old models that they're doing cheap. So for a customer, it's actually a really good time to pick stuff up. Like if you can wait post Christmas, get around to the start of summer. There's usually a lot of kind of deals and stuff going on.
There's a couple of GAC news things actually, which I'll point out, which we can mention next week.
Okay.
Quickly. We're now a stockist of Empress effects.
Oh, we?
So we've even...
What?
Yeah. Luke emailed me today. They came in today. Which do some awesome things. So I personally think we are probably we've probably got the best selection of guitar effects anywhere, I would say now. We are doing so many good guitar effects.
Well, think what we've taken on this year. So we've got Empress, Wampler,
Full Tone. Obviously, we now do Zvex, which we tried for a while. Strymon, like they're all the boutique brands. Obviously, you've got Bigfoot, which is even smaller boutique, but they're starting to be used by like guys in huge bands.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Cole Martin stuff is really good because they've gone down to the mini stuff. We do loads of the Moore stuff.
Boss.
Obviously, Boss.
Don't forget about
Hotone.
Boss. Hotone.
Hotone.
Because they do the little mini amps as well.
Oh.
But then also to expand further, there is a possibility. We've got some units on like a kind of like a tester. So I'm going to try them out tomorrow because I mentioned them last week and I said, oh yeah, we don't do them, so I can't really talk about them. But Source Audio, who do the Hot Hand series and all the effects with the expression pedal on the
Really?
ring. Yeah. So with my idea for the G bender, B bender modulation with your guitar. Yeah, let's try it because we will have the means to do so.
That is awesome.
So there we
Wow.
go.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. Are they definitely coming in? Empress is here already, right?
The Source, I've got. I think I'd have to check my email. I think Source Audio is here as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But
well,
I don't think we're listing them online yet. I think we're doing some testers first.
it's going to make for some interesting
But
product
the
demos.
Empress stuff, they do things like the multi delay, which is their kind of like their digital version of the timeline, but without any of the kind of like screens. It's all on there. They do the tape delay. They do the multi drive, which is an overdrive, heavy distortion, and fuzz, all in one. Like they do some awesome stuff, all hand built in Canada.
Very nice indeed. I look forward to doing some product demos. So
Awesome.
loads going on, basically. All the deals that we've highlighted and loads of new stuff coming in. Should we dive into some questions? We've had
Yeah.
absolutely bucket loads of questions this week.
First of all, I realised I forgot to say a really big bit of news at the start of the podcast.
What's the news?
I bought a new bass.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
So Joe Branton's 30th birthday is quickly approaching.
Yeah.
And you've decided to buy a bass
I have.
for your 30th birthday.
I spent a lot of time deliberating over what to get, but I'm 100% sure that I've made the right decision.
What was in the running?
The top four were the Squier Matt Freeman P bass.
Yeah, which we always recommend anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, seeing as we recommend it so much, I should just get one. But then I decided I just didn't want another P bass. I just love the 80s too much to buy something classic. So then.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense.
No, fine. And then other things in the running were the Ibanez ATK 800,
Okay.
which, as you pointed out, looks like a coffee table,
In a good way. Chunky.
which I really like. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
got
dark stained ash with a rosewood scratch plate.
Yeah, that's pretty bonkers.
That's cool. That's what that is. So that was in the running, but I'm just not a big fan of Active, so I decided not to go for that. Those were two, and then a Sterling Ray 34 was the other one.
Okay.
Because they're really great, but again was disqualified for the same reasons. I just don't really love Active. And then it came down to the top two. So those were it was five. Yeah, the top two were between the Hofner Cavern Spec violin bass,
Which we know that you love.
I love.
There's
with all my
surely
heart.
there's no bass more that you've talked about more this year.
No, that's true.
And no bass, less math.
No, yeah, that's true. And that, I think, is what it came down to. Is I wasn't sure if I could record
You would be
fast-paced math music on a short-scale flat wound.
You would
A
also
hollow
be-
body bass.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, is it?
Yeah,
Great
so-
bass, but very, very specific for what it does.
Exactly.
So what came top? I mean, let's say
I'm lost. I can't.
you'll totally understand what it is. Do you want to do a big build-up, maybe a dramatic voice?
Okay. The Yamaha BB714 Billy Sheehan signature model.
So basically, you discredit the fact that you're probably going to use it. You probably don't even like it. It's just Billy Sheehan.
No, I really like it. It's essentially exactly the same as the Yamaha BB that I play at the moment, only it's black, and it's other than the P-bass pickup in the middle, it's got right at the neck a massive bladed humbucker.
Nice.
Think about that. That
was
is
just
a lot
thinking
of low
about
end.
the BS
It's
on the headstock.
properly in the neck as well. It's it's wedged.
It's actually
right up
in the neck.
No, it's wedged like right up against the base of the neck.
And then not only that, the tone control on it, 2 separate volume controls for each pickup and a master tone. Master tone has a push pull. Oh, what does the push pull do? It's a treble cut.
For
That sort of sound.
sound
I mean,
great for
it
you,
sounds
isn't it?
great. Yeah.
It's going to be great for your new Eden and 8x10.
I know.
So you're happy with it?
I'm
It's
really happy with
satisfy
it.
your birthday needs.
They are just under 600 quid.
That's not bad.
Very
no,
nice.
good. Yeah, came with a really plush soft case as well, with Billy Sheehan's signature embroidered into the front of the soft case, which I very much hope he did himself. And yeah,
Still on the side.
no signature on the base, which actually I quite liked.
Yeah, I'm into that as well.
I don't need to. I know it's a Billy Sheehan signature. I don't need his squiggle on it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I was quite happy with that.
I think anyone who knows you will know that you're playing a Billy Sheehan signature.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Cool.
Right, let's do some questions. First up, actually, one that I don't have on the sheet here, but I remembered came in. Jeff, who actually works for Roland, tweeted in with a solution to our B bender, G bender, wah filter discussion. He seems to think there's a way that you'll be able to do it on the new Boss GP10
Yeah, he
guitar
just needs to get me
synthesizer.
one now, doesn't he?
Well, yes.
Come on, Jeff.
So there's one on the way for some product demos, I think, or it'll be here soon, and we'll test it. So whoever wrote in last week, unfortunately I don't have your name here, but we're going to test it and see
can't
if that's
wait.
an option.
I can't wait to use that. I just can't wait to try re-guitaring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Sounds
I like the
awesome.
idea of triple tracking guitars.
And only playing them once.
Well, yeah, playing it once in normal,
Lazy.
then double, and then like reamping it, like copying the track, and then doing it like a fifth below and a fifth up, and
Yeah.
having like some sort of mental harmony guitar. You just send it back and just re-record it over and over again.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most kind of bonkers thing that's come out this year.
Yeah.
And I forget which artist it was, but I saw a couple of tweets from a particular artist whose name I knew, who was just saying like, I've tried the GP10, blew me away. This is like going to change everyone's mind about guitar synthesis and what you can do with these kind of units. And so yeah, very, very excited, and hopefully it will solve last week's G bender, B bender saga. Filter wah saga. So let's do this week's questions. Patrick on Twitter says, DJK, first of all, absolutely great podcast. I was wondering if you could shed some light on the best guitar gear, guitar, amp and effects for an intermediate guitarist at a relatively cheap price. More for playing at home, but occasionally out and about as well. Thanks in advance and keep up the good work. Now, Patrick hasn't specified a price point or a kind of type of music really.
You're being really quick with the question, so I don't get a chance to do a silly voice.
Yes, exactly. There is one that actually
There was
has
one
been
that
specifically asked you to do a silly voice,
Oh,
so
good. We'll hold it for
it's
that one.
really long though. I don't
So you
know.
might have to do the first.
Well, maybe I'll do a really fast.
No, that
silly
would be
voice.
awful. I'll let you read the first sentence in a silly voice. How about
Okay,
that?
okay.
Good. So, what do you think? I mean, it's quite a broad question.
Okay.
Best gear for intermediate.
I got a good one here. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. I saw one. I've been doing a lot of demos on the Line 6 amplifiers, and I'm getting more and more into it.
Okay.
Did the videos. I've sold 3 in the last 2 days. Doing some really like in-depth demos with people. And at the moment, we're offering the amplifiers online, so 379, but you get a free Hercules HA300 iTab holder.
Oh yeah.
So
you can put
goes
your-
on your mic stand.
Put your iPad on the stand.
So your iPad. And if you're going to mainly use it at home, I just think they're so good.
Yeah, I was very impressed by the new FX 100, which is the floor unit.
I mean, maybe that might be a better option, but I mean, just the fact that great for just playing music through, great for playing your guitar through, and if you're an intermediate guitarist, so you understand more about effects, there's so much on there you can just mess around with.
Is it all the effects from something like an M5?
Yeah, basically, I think it's all pretty much. There's some stuff in there that's definitely not on the M5.
Okay.
And some effects, things like tape eater and stuff like that, which are like bit
That
crushers
sounds
and stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, there's some really, and I think that's the thing with if you're an intermediate guitar. I mean, what class is something as something
Well,
for an intermediate? You know,
I mean-
because I could just go, well, buy an M9 or buy an ME80, but I thought, well, I think a lot of the things that we've probably talked about, we've probably covered this question. But an amplifier to me seemed like if you're an intermediate guitarist and you're not looking to spend too much, are you really going to want to go out there and buy another valve amp? Probably not, because you're going to use it at home. So going for something that's maybe a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, I tend to
do
think
a little bit more.
When I think intermediate guitarist, I think someone who wants a bit of variety. And something, primarily used at home, like you said in the email. So I think, amplifier is definitely a good bet. If you wanted something a bit more traditional, Blues Junior.
Well, actually, I was going to say Blues Junior.
I hate to say it every week.
I was going to say Blues Junior, but we're totally sold out because we're obviously our podcast is getting through.
Do we still have the Princetons?
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to throw
They're a bit more money.
I was going to throw a total spanner in the works and say PV Valve King 50 combo. So 50 watts, switchable down to 10 watts, switchable down to 2 watts, direct USB recording out, direct out with speaker.
These are the new ones for this
with
year.
Speaker cancelling, so you can go DI but still have the speaker come through for mono, or you can cancel it completely.
And headphone out as well.
Headphone out. Like I said, USB recording out, switchable down to 2 watts for home, 50 watts for gigging, dual channel, which has got a foot switchable boost, reverb, and effects loop.
My goodness! And how much are they?
£579.
See,
Do they do a smaller one?
That's
don't
why
They do a 20 as well.
I think maybe for primarily home use, then the 20
But
is
I
probably
don't think
better.
they do a 20
down to 2 watts.
I don't think they do a 20 combo. I think
No.
they only do a 20 head. So it depends what you might already have. But yeah, I mean down to 2 watts.
Yeah,
It's kind of all there, and it's the same money. Same money as less money than like a Hot Rod Deluxe or something like that.
about the same money as a Blues Junior, roughly.
So yeah, for me, it's something more traditional. Or as I plugged someone into the other day and just went, "These are wicked PV Classic 30."
Yeah, I mean, we say it again. We always hop back to the same stuff, but we like to point people towards quality gear.
Yeah.
So Fender Blues Junior, PV Classic 30. On the newer side of things, Amplify, or the new PV Valve Kings.
And if you kind of maybe wanted to something out and about, because I think if you're going to go out and gig it more and you've tried the amplifying store and you think, but I don't want to take the amp, FX100.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
which
really
is
the overall solution for that. It's just
floor based,
ace, yeah.
and you could go straight into a PA. With that as
amazing
well.
if you're like a solo guy who plays the backing tracks, because you could just out it straight into the PA via the left and right out, and Bluetooth all your music to it, and then you've still got the direct out for like a monitor.
What if you were going to do effects? Say you were going to go down the valve route. What effects would you get? Intermediate effects. I mean, are we saying like M5 or M9 or an ME80, Boss ME80?
I would say maybe if you're intermediate and you're doing a lot of stuff. Let's say doing a lot of covers. M13.
Yeah,
I'd have plugged one in the other day and went, actually, do you know what? For what you get, an M13 covers,
how much is that?
Quite a bit more money.
They're quite a lot more money. They're like 400 quid.
Yeah.
But if we're going, okay, well maybe he's already got an amp and he wants a more intermediate effect, I think they're great just because of the amount of scenes that you can save.
Yeah.
And the overall kind of looping capability.
Yeah, I agree. They use wicked.
I'm going to come to it in a minute, but I've got some stuff to say about the ME80.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid to say an ME80, and then I don't know, guitar wise, that's a tough one.
Really, I think that is much more down to the player.
Yeah, because I think the thing is, someone came in the other day and said, "Oh, what beginner guitars do you have?" And I said, it's really difficult to class a beginner guitar because if you want to spend 500 quid, you're not really buying a beginner guitar, you're buying your first guitar.
Yeah.
But then if you've been playing for 20 years and you want to buy a cheap guitar, buying a Squire Affinity 145 quid isn't necessarily a beginner's guitar because you've been playing for 20 years. I just don't think we sell a bad guitar at any price point. I just think the more you spend, the more you get in kind of features.
Intermediate to me says things like
Baja Telly.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think name brand, but mid-tier. So, for example, Fender Mexico, either a standard or if you can spend a bit more, the Baja Telly or a classic player Strat.
Yeah.
Or if you're looking, Gibson's more your flavour, then you're going to be looking at the high end of the Epiphone stuff.
Yeah. Jackson do some great sort of soloists in the dinky body shape.
If you're into the more kind of metal side of things, I would say
PRSSEs if you want something a little bit more modern.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to the fact that I don't think we really do a bad guitar.
No.
And particularly, that market's become so competitive. That all these guitars are crammed with features. Something like the Fender Baja Telly. it's a four-way switching telly designed by the custom shop with S1 with custom design pickups.
Yeah.
For how much are they?
601.
Yeah, 600 quid
one,
basically. I just think they're astonishing compared to what you could get 10 years ago for that money.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jackson, they do a dinky soloist for sub 400 quid that you can get in taxi cab yellow.
Yeah.
Or lime green.
I mean, there's your selling point right there.
Lime green. What colour?
Well, the taxi cab yellow looks amazing as well.
One of my favourite colours ever actually was I think it was Jackson, wasabi green. Do you remember that? That was just like, nuclear green.
What about the BC Rich Space?
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, and it had a picture of a spaceship docking on the front of it. It was pretty...
Prepare for docking.
Prepare for docking. Right, David via email says... oh, sorry, Patrick. I hope that answers your question, by the way. It's a bit vague. If you want us to get a bit more in depth, tell us
A price.
tell us a price and tell us kind of what music you're into. Send it through via email, as always, podcast@gak.co.uk. Right, David via email says, "Hi gents, David from Suffolk here, a regular listener and fellow guitar geek. On your recommendation, I'm now a happy owner of the Boss ME80 and await your series of user guides as mentioned. Is that still going ahead? Also, are there any plans to make the Joe Bonamassa themed podcast?" So, ME80, I spent a significant portion of the weekend
ignoring your girlfriend and playing the ME80.
She was out, which is why I had some time to play on the ME80. Firstly, I played on the ME80 by itself, and then I remembered that the Tone Studio app has just gone live, which is the
app.
Well, it's.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's an application. I think, as far as I'm aware, it's only on PC and Mac.
Okay.
Because you have to connect via USB, but I'm assuming that there will be like an iOS
Maybe.
and Android at some point. But it's incredible, absolutely incredible. So loads of sound libraries, and they've got some like worldwide, renowned artists to make all these sound library, all these tones in these libraries, and you can import those into the unit.
Billy Sheehan?
It's not a bass effect, so probably not Billy Sheehan. The good thing that I like about it is it doesn't. You don't need to import the sounds into the unit itself. Basically, it just changes the parameters on the fly. So if you want to just scroll through them and listen to a load of them, it's not like you have to download them into the unit and then play them from there.
So it's not like putting a tone print on from a TC pedal where you actually have to download the tone print as a file and then put it into their little uploader software. And then
so it's really quick, and you can just import the stuff that you want. So there's some I forget the names of the artists, but there's like loads of Boss created patches, and say you just like a few of them, you could just import those across. That wouldn't be too much of an issue. But the cool thing is you can make your own tones, and there's a really good visual editor. You can switch things around in the pedal chain, and you can
you can change stuff in the pedal chain as well.
Saying that, it does it depending on what you select on the pedal category.
Okay.
It will shift it in the pedal chain, so it makes sense basically. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. But yeah, the good thing is that you can tweet your patches. Yeah. So I'm going to make up some patches and start tweeting them out. And if you want to do some as well.
Well, I want to do some for the GP10.
Yeah, well, I think let's do some ME80 stuff at first, because obviously, like David has, there's quite a lot of people who have bought ME80s on the recommendation of the podcast.
Are we going to start? Because I think I'm going to start doing it for the amplifier, maybe.
Do some patches.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do some patches on the amplifier when I've got time, and I've got spare time here under my login, which is Matt_Knightsey. That's not S-I-E on the end.
You mean your Twitter handle?
Yeah. No. Actually, I've created a Line 6 login, so if you search Matt_Knightsey on amplifier when I upload tones, you can actually download.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, again, as always, if you want to hear any of these things, David or anyone who's bought an ME80 or an amplifier, best bet is follow us on Twitter at Mark_Random, at Matt_Knightsey, or at Joseph_900.
Hello.
Although you don't have any tones.
No, I don't. Probably don't follow me if you're interested in tones like that.
In good tones.
Although I am recording my bass in the recording studio.
Is this going to be a plug?
No, I'm just saying I'm recording through a bass rig. I'm going through a single 15 and an AD200, and a Marshall Jubilee and a 412.
Very nice.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it
Very
is a
nice
good idea.
indeed.
Anyway.
So, David, I hope that answers your question about the ME80. Yes, there's going to be user guides, there's going to be some videos that we're going to be doing, but also you'll be able to download the patches that we use in the guides. I'm just working out the best way to do it at the moment. Best bet, I would say, if you can, follow us on Twitter or just keep an eye on, keep listening to the podcast.
We will do it. We're just very busy people.
I'm not busy at all.
No?
No, lazy.
Lazy, if anything. Just
No, not
too
really.
much time, if anything.
Yeah, I've got
Take
too
some
much.
away.
Just sitting around in my pants.
Yeah.
I wish you would start wearing trousers whilst we're on the podcast. though.
Yeah, sorry, it's how I get vibed up. Matt. Oh, also, David. David, there will be a Joe Bonamassa podcast. We'd all completely forgotten that we said we were going to do it, so we will get on that.
We should do that.
On-
That
in-
would be good.
in the next few weeks. Matt via email says,
I thought I've definitely got gas. Is that how much you want me to do? Can I say more?
no, well, I said do the first sentence.
Oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't even say that.
No,
okay.
you read it wrong as well.
I feel like
Oh God, this is
I've let
painful.
Matt down. Though I've definitely got gas, meaning I'll always be buying pedals and guitars, I think I'm more or less happy with my electric rig I use in my band.
Mostly thanks to you guys, I now have an AC15 twin amp. My pedal board has a Soul Food, a Line 6 M5, and more multi-effects, along with a Blackstar HT Dual, the Boss AC3 acoustic simulator, Dunlop Crybaby wire, and a Digitech main squeeze compressor, all plugged into my Thinline Cabronita Telecaster. I've recently started doing some open mics, and with just me and my acoustic guitar. Problem is, I'd like to do some songs that require 2 guitar parts, and as a lead guitarist, I'd love to throw in a solo or 2. So I have 2 questions really. What looper pedal would be best to get so that I can rock up to an open mic, plug in, record a rhythm part, solo over it and turn it off again? I was thinking the Ditto looper, but I remember one of you saying that it might not be the best for live situations. I don't have unlimited funds, so let's say a budget of £150, though I might be able to go slightly higher and don't have to spend that much. Who am I kidding? Nobody is ever happy with their rig. If you were going to add one pedal to the above board, what would you choose and why? Look forward to hearing this read out in one of Joe's stupid voices. I hope we've done that for you.
Thank you.
If this makes it to the podcast, I listen to it at my desk at work every week. And every week since it started, I crack up, and all of my colleagues look at me like I'm crazy, which I probably am. There we go. So, 2 questions. Thanks for writing in, Matt. That's a wicked email. 2 questions. What looper would you take with you if you're going to go and do an open mic night? And what pedal would you add to his rig that I've just read out? I need their email.
I would say, in terms of a looper, although it's a little bit more than 150, might be good if you maybe did a Boss RC3.
I was going to say the RC3.
Well, I was going to say because you've got 2 inputs, so maybe if he's playing an acoustic guitar and then his solo wanted to be an electric guitar, effectively the way it records works exactly the same as a Ditto looper, but you've obviously got the memory function on there, which is quite handy, and the stereo inputs, and it runs on batteries, because the problem with the Ditto looper is you go to 9
if it's the only pedal on your board. And actually, I found I own a Digitech Jamman, an RC3 and a Ditto looper, and I do find that just because of the Ditto's size, I use the Ditto basically just having like random noises stored on it now, and I just trigger them. But actually looping, the actual function of looping, just because it's so small, it's quite difficult to get everything dead on if you really need to. Whereas, Boss are just, because their pedals are so well built, they're just so, the stomp is so definite.
My thoughts on it would be go for the RC3, really for the reasons you've mentioned. Battery operation, so if you literally just need to rock up, you're doing an open mic night, you're doing like 2 songs, the last thing you want to be doing is messing around with like plugging a pedal board in, especially if it's like an acoustic gig. You might just want to take the pedal, pop it in front of you, plug your guitar in, done. Secondly, like you say, the memory functions, so you could even turn up to the gig with some backing tracks already preloaded if you wanted to, and it means you can start doing clever stuff with like harmony parts and things like that. And I just think, in terms of construction and for the reasons you were saying, Joe, like actually just stamping on it is a whole load easier because it's a Boss compact pedal. Like for me, the best designed pedal units in the world.
It's funny, really, isn't it? That you can tell that at one point when they first thought of the compacts, they really thought about how they should look, and they kind of just got it right, really.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that look like that, and everything else is like that Hammond style die-cast box with a big clunky switch on it, and the Boss ones just...
Yeah, totally. I think we forget that they were there first, and they're completely different in terms of how they, like you say, how they look. They don't follow that standard like Electro-Harmonix style foot switch.
Yeah.
I could rave about Boss stuff all day, you know. But yeah, in this particular situation, definitely RC3. What about Matt's other question? What would you add to his rig? It could be anything, seemingly. I mean, this is the worst question to ask Matt Knight.
Yeah, I'm sort of judging it on what I really fancy putting on my pedal board. And at the moment... Yeah, at the moment...
XP1000?
Yeah, XP1000. I am really into trying to find the best, like, Leslie style like pedal.
Slicer.
Slicer couldn't be any further. You mean the rotary?
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah.
You mean the RT20, don't you? Not the SL20.
Not the SL20.
No, Strymon Lex sounds awesome. Actually, any pedal right now that I've tried recently, El Capistan. God, so good.
That's the Strymon delay, right?
That's the tape delay, but it's got the hidden five like button controls on it, and it's got a little digital spring reverb in it, which sounds wicked.
Very nice. Can you remember what sort of price they are?
They're $239.
Also, like you just did, do you think you could do a sound impression of that pedal?
That's horrible. I hope the pedal sounds much better than that.
Yeah, well, I was trying to emulate that when they the feedback dies off and then it comes back with force.
Joe Branton, what should Matt be adding to his rig?
I don't know. I don't play guitar.
A bass.
Yeah, just add a bass.
An upright bass.
I'm actually really into bit crushers at the moment.
Okay.
I think everyone needs them.
That's a good place to start.
That's a perfect excuse to buy a Strymon Mobius.
Oh, right. I was thinking of the Moore one.
Yeah, but why have Moore when you can have Strymon?
For people who don't... I mean, that's a valid argument, but for people who don't know what a bit crusher is, because it's not often seen on guitar pedal boards, what's a bit crusher? What does it do?
Matt, can you explain actually what it does?
Yeah, so I suppose it
makes your guitar unplayable.
Yeah,
I mean, I can tell you exactly what it does if you want to know.
Yeah, give us the scientific, because I just say it just lowers.
And here's Mark with the
science. It crushes your bits.
Well, it actually depends on which one you. Awfully painful. Depends on which one you go for, but effectively, what you're doing is changing the sample rate. So the amount of times per second a digital pedal is capturing.
So effectively, it's like I imagine it's like a delay. So effectively, it's storing your signal in some way and then playing it back at a much lower sample rate super quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even the storing the sound. It's generally how many snapshots of your sound essentially it takes in the analog to digital conversion.
Yeah.
So on your input signal, and then essentially what it's doing is in between each of the snapshots of your sound it takes, it kind of guesses what's happened in between those two snapshots. So the less samples there are of your sound, the more guessing it's doing, and the more likely it is to get very, very wrong. Which is why you get a kind of broken computer sound out of it, because essentially that's what it's doing. It's lowering the sample rate of the input signal that's going in.
Yeah. Mark Packham. See,
it's a great way to sound atonal.
Yeah, it's a great way to just sound like a Nintendo.
Yeah, I guess that's the ultimate outcome, is that you sound like an 80s computer game.
Why has no one made a bit crusher out there that's painted? There's a 2-button bit crusher in a little square box that looks like a SNES controller.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It would actually be a NES controller if it was 2-button. Come on. So there we go. Oh no. So you're saying bit crusher.
I'm saying bit crusher.
What would I add? I don't know really.
Another tuner.
I mean, thanks. I love that you've got me pegged. Do you know what? I'm going to say try an ME80. I'm totally enamoured with this thing. Like I I can't speak highly enough about how good and how much fun I'm having with the ME80. It's probably, if you've got a huge rig already, you might have some stuff covered. But actually, I think it does some things that you're probably not going to get on an M5 or the more multi-effects.
I'm in love with the Terra Echo. It's just plugged into the main room all the time.
I'll tell you what. If you're just going to take one effect off the ME80 and add it to a individual board, then the Terra Echo. I pretty much put it on all of the patches.
Well, do you know how I was messing around with it? Turning the spread time and the feedback all the way down, and then turning the feedback all the way up, but not so it oscillates, but turn the effects level down so it really sits low in the mix, and it just adds this kind of really ethereal depth that doesn't get in the way of your guitar signal. But it's kind of like a strange reverb.
It's a great pedal. Boss TE2, is that what it's called? Singularly?
TE2. The 100th.
The 100th ever Boss. Is it the 100th compact?
The 100th compact, yeah.
Is it? There we go. So yes, Matt, that's what we think. Get a Bit Crusher, get a TE2, and get a Strymon Lex.
Yeah.
That's going to be a monster pedal board. Last email. Will via email says, what sort of differences can I expect if I was to change the valves on the dual Terra, and more importantly, what tubes are the way to go? I'd like a bit more jangle. I know it's not an orange trait and I'm not looking for Fender Mesa jangle, but maybe a bit of a brighter response. I used to boost it with my Graphic Fuzz EQ, but I don't know if there's a better way of achieving what I want. Matt Knight, this is all on you.
Oh, well, do you know what? I think I'm always in two minds about valves.
Okay.
How much? Because you're really going to make the difference by going for a different type of valve. So if you've got an amp that's got EL34s in it, putting 6L6s in it is going to make the biggest difference. But you can't do that on any amp. You can't just stick some different valves in it.
No, you can have it done.
I was going to say,
you can have it done. Or you can buy something like the THD yellow jackets, which are the things that go in the valve socket and then your valves go on top and they change. Or if you've got a bigger valve amp, you could buy the orange DIVO system, which allows you to then allows you to rebias your amp with different valves by actually plugging it into the valve sockets, and it does some weird computer calculations. And that's the only way you're going to do it, because part of yes, the valves make a difference, but also the preamp makes a big difference, doesn't it? The way the preamp's designed, and an orange is sort of always going to have that orange heavy punchy mid-range no matter what you do to it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think they've got an inherent sound to them. And yes, you can mess around with the valves, but they're designed to sound one way, which is why you'd buy a dual Terra.
I'm not sure you're going to get more. I'm not sure it's going to make it a jangly.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing is that you're not going to. I found it so difficult when putting other valves of the same type in the same amp that I've really heard a significant difference.
I think a lot of people do go on about that, and I think you can notice a quality difference between cheap valves and more expensive valves.
I mean, but then again, you say like a Boogie, for example, it's got a switch for EL84 6L6. Putting 6L6s in give you a much brighter response. They give you a lot more top end. Like 84s and 34s have got more mid-range Marshall kind of kick.
Do you not think that's because the Boogies are a bit more neutral sounding than something like an orange, though?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So changing the valves up will actually make a significant difference.
And I know
that's it. They're so voiced.
Yeah, anyway. And I mean, it makes a difference to obviously the overall output level as well of your amp. So it's designed in a way. So I think you'd be better off having a flatter EQ and doing what is done, which is using a boost to kind of maybe give you more top end, maybe using a compressor.
Yeah, actually, that was going to be one of my suggestions.
Nice to make things a bit more spanky.
Well, if you just want to add a bit of sparkle generally, I'll tell you what else would be good. Pictronics Class A boost. I think actually that just adds good
top end,
rich top end to almost everything.
Yeah. And if you want to add a bit more fullness to the tone, if you think that sometimes it can be a bit harsh, maybe round it off, Dunlop Echoplex.
Yeah, actually, that would be another thing, and that really, I think, also brings out more top end like character as well. Yeah. Either of those two, I think that if you're finding that your sound is like too chunky or too mid range heavy, putting either of those two in before the amp. That's why I always like going for amps that are maybe a little bit cleaner and might lack something that you can put back in rather than being too over the top that you don't have to kind of draw back on, or run a stereo rig. That's your answer for everything these days. That's my answer for everything. Not running enough amps. Matt, we've run out of milk. Just run a stereo rig. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Really isn't helping. It will help.
Well, thanks for the question. I'm not sure we really answered it. I think changing the tubes probably isn't going to do what you want, but look into those pedals. Dunlop Echoplex EP1 and the
Class A boost.
Yeah, Pigtronics Class A boost that will bring in nice, rich top end. If you've got any questions, always do email them in podcast@gak.co.uk, or you can get in touch on Twitter @gak_co_uk, or on Facebook, facebook.com/GAK Music, or you can reach us personally. This week I am probably going to be tweeting out some of those ME80 patches, so please do swing by my Twitter, which is @mark_random, and they should hopefully be going up there. If not, I'll just tweet about retro video games and other guitar nonsense and gigs that I'm doing and stuff like that.
Crushers.
And Bit Crushers. Matt Knight, how can people get in touch with you?
You can email me on matt.knight@gak.co.uk if you want to ask any questions or anything about, well, pedals generally. Oh yeah, you can tweet me Matt_Knightsy, that's Knight with SIE on the end, and follow the Ungiggable Rig.
It's coming.
It's gonna. I'm gonna add another PPC 112 to the 112 I just bought, and I'm gonna run them in series because now my stacks don't match in height.
How many cabs will that be?
3.
I kind of liked how it sort of
Yeah, it's cool,
non-symmetrical
but then
it
I
was.
miss having the extra bottom end from the other two 12. You know what, you really do notice the difference when you put a 1x12 and 2x12 side by
Yeah,
side.
definitely. Joe, how can people get in touch with you?
You can email me on joe.branton@gak.co.uk, or you can find me on the Twitter @Joseph_900. This week I'm mostly going to be uploading pictures of myself holding my Billy Sheehan bass, and I'm gonna be uploading lots of stuff from the recording studio, because you know we've got loads of cool stuff like a Selmer treble and bass, a high watt 100-watt high gain amp, the Marshall Jubilee, and we've got a Hammond and a Leslie speaker as well.
Very nice indeed. Proper studio gear.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for listening. Thanks for all the emails this week. Sorry it's a kind of shorter podcast, but
How long is it this week?
about an hour, just over.
But that's
an hour.
okay. I mean, the week before last, we nearly did 2 hours.
Yeah, I think we need to scale that back. Well, let us know actually if you want to hear longer podcasts. We can do them. If you want to hear shorter ones, that'd be cool. Actually, it's reminding me. I've been thinking about podcast feedback, and it'd be good if people could email in podcast@gak.co.uk.
I think we should get people to rate the members of the podcast.
Yeah, who's your favourite? Do you want a longer podcast, shorter podcast? What are we talking about? Bass too much? Probably. Should Joe Branton shave his tash off? Anything like that. Podcast@gak.co.uk. Thanks for listening this week, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Yes, farewell. I wish you well. Goodbye. Goodbye. Farewell. I hope your travels are well received by all those that you meet as you pass through the gates of this world unto the next. Farewell.
Much, 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 much. How it's been a while.